Morning, my name is Lori. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Today we are working on a study in Scarlet quilt. For the next 3 weeks we will be working on this sophisticated God's eye block. Do not be intimidated. We know how to make all the parts that go into this God's eye block. And if we look at the coloring sheet, we have finished many blocks. All of the ones here, the ones across the bottom for the most part. So we can start joining things together if you have not. And we will, as part of this 3 weeks, we will be updating our color sheet with the block from last week and this block, of course. And it will be wonderful. We're getting there slowly but surely. So, and the last week's block was this one right here. So we will be updating all of those and getting things done. And little by little, we are accomplishing a big, beautiful quilt. So let's take a look at the pattern and the fabric for today to get us started. So here is my drawing. It is a 16-inch finished God's eye block, and it does use the 4 at a time geese technique. It is for part 2, chapter 1 of a study in Scarlet. And you'll notice that I fussy cut the center of this block, and the traditional block that I saw had the same color in this ring as out here. But I changed it up a little bit and added another color in there so that it matched more of the colors that we use throughout the quilt. So let's take a look at the parts and pieces. And I am back in Michigan where I have my extra fabric in case I have somehow messed up and need to punt. I can hopefully recut fabric and make changes on the sheet when I type it up for you down in the comments. So let's take a look. The background, which is the lovely light blue with a light white on it. I need 4.5 for these outside corners. I need 12 2.5-inch blocks for various spots. Let's see, out here. So that gives me 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, those 2.5-inch blocks. And I need 8 3-inch blocks, and I have a star there, so I know that those will be used for the 4 at a time flying geese. I hope I have this number correct because I see that some of the flying geese have background on one side, some have them on the other side, and some have them on both sides. So I hope I have the right number of these. We will see. If not, you know I'm good at punting and fixing things up. The purple, I need 3 because there are so many purple flying geese everywhere. I need 3 5.5-inch purple pieces to make the flying geese. The gray, which is, I guess it's not black, it's gray. I need 8 3-inch squares to make as part of the flying geese, the dark part. Dark pink for this center. It's not really a ring, it's a square. I need 1 5.5 because it is also flying geese with the gray. I need 1 5.5, and I need 4 2.5 to do stitch and flips around the center. And there is my center. It is a flower like one of the other blocks we did. Well, several of the blocks already have that fussy cut, and those are flip and stitch. So that is the fabric that we need this week. I see on the calendar it says we are doing the flying geese this week. So as I am pulling parts and pieces out, I will need the 5.5-inch squares. And I will need the gray 3-inch pieces, as well as the background 3-inch pieces. Let's get started on making some 4 at a time flying geese. Put all these other pieces aside until next week. I'm setting the 5.5-inch blocks aside. Oh look, Honey's here with her pig. She's helping us out. Let me move some things back out of Honey's way. We don't want to discourage the Honey from, well, we do, but I'm trying not to, because she's showing me her toy. She means to be a good dog. Hang on a second. So I think Honey is preoccupied for the moment. She needs to play and run before we get our next round of guests. So on the back of the 16 3-inch squares, I need to draw my diagonal line so I can make my 4 at a time flying geese. So here's Honey with her pig again. Let me get to marking these lines on speed mark. Of these sets of flying geese are easy. The purple, one set of the purple takes just blue background, so then I need 4 squares to go with it. The pink has gray background, so 4 gray squares with it. I'm going to make these easy ones first. And remember, to make the 4 at a time flying geese, you lay your small squares on there. I like to put a pin through just to hold it on there until I get it over to the sewing machine. Then I like to pull the pin out as I go. And then opposite corner, line up the, oh wait, I forgot to do my little snippety clippity on the corner, which makes it easier. Let me snip that little corner off, about 1/4 inch, not much, but that makes it easier. I almost always forget that. And I don't usually have it show up anyway, but just in case. I line my lines up. Now let me add my pins in there. And remember, you sew 1/4 inch on each side to start. These are thicker pins than I'm used to using, but it'll be all right. So my little overlap, and then this one is ready to sew. I need to nip off my little corner pieces here and do the same, lining it up with the pink for the easiest of the flying geese. Line it up. Pulled that one out of the corner, and I'll need to line that. Well, there we go. So we're ready to sew those ones. I'm going to sit aside the 2 big other units, other big 5.5s, and I'm going to put the 4 grays with those 2 and the 4 blues with those 2, and I will deal with those after I have these ones all done. Let me go do some speed sewing. These are sewn now with the 1/4 inch. I need to, and I see that there is a little bit of a wrinkle it pushed it, but it will be all right, that the fabric, because once I cut it, it will lay flat. So once I have these cut apart, I need to take it to the ironing board and press them so I make that little heart shape before I add that next piece. Let me get to it. I have the pieces with the last square. They are pressed and we are set to sew that last piece on either side of the line 1/4 inch. I will be back to you with the pieces so we can talk about those last sets of flying geese. Let me do some speed sewing. Let me trim on the line. We will press and I will meet you back over at the cutting table. So all of the geese are made, and yes, I know some of them are a little crooked, but we're going to trim those up anyway. I love the you can be a little bit off and trim it and make it perfect method. So I'm going to set these aside and I will trim those later as I'm watching TV. Let's take a look at the pattern again. And I'm focusing on these flying geese right here. You'll notice that this purple flying goose, the background is on the left and the gray is on the right, and the other side is opposite. So there are 4 of these and 4 of these. So out of each set of flying geese, if I do the first 2 blocks with the background, I will end up with a right and a left of the background. So I will have 2 of the pieces I need. And when I make the other flying goose, I will have the other 2 of each that I need, because the rest of when I cut it in half and make it into the heart shape, the rest of it is made with the gray. So let me nip these and get them set up and go make some half square triangles. I'll be back in a minute at the sewing machine. So now I have my gray squares, and this will give me a left and a right with gray, and I'll have a left and a right with the blue. Let me speed sew these and I'll show you a better example of what I mean. So now that these are all pressed, you can see what I was talking about half the sky being gray, half the sky being blue, and it being the opposite. So by making 2 sets of 4, I end up with my opposite pieces, 4 of each. If I were only making 4 total flying geese, I would need to rethink where I put the color pieces to get the opposites. But I don't have to worry about it because I needed 4 of each. Now it is time to get to some trimming. I need to get out the parts and pieces and get it done. So you can trim these flying geese with any ruler. The key is to make sure there's a 1/4 inch here, and it is straight and parallel at the bottom. So let me get to some trim work, and then we will be done for this week. From 16 flying geese, that little bit of scrap is all I get from squaring those up, and you can see them all laid out there. Put those aside in the bag with the extra pieces. We will work on another unit next week, and then the following week we will put them all together and update that color sheet. It's going to be a fantastic block. See you next week. Hope you enjoyed watching. See you later.